Hey friends, tonight we're diving into something a little warmer. And by warmer, I mean the kind of warmth that comes from being held down on a sun-baked stone, while someone cuts your chest open with an obsidian knife. We're going back, way back, to the world of the Aztec Empire, pyramids, priests, corn, blood. Forget the myths about golden cities and noble warriors. You're not the chosen one. You're not Montezuma. You're not even a guy with a spear. You're a prisoner, a tribute, an offering. You're here to make the sun rise. So before we get strapped to the ceremonial slab, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy slow, painful historical deaths delivered in a soothing voice. And drop a comment letting me know where in the world you're watching from and what time it is. I'm always curious who's drifting off to sleep during a calm, friendly retelling of ancient ritualized murder. Now dim the lights, maybe put on a little background hum. Let your breath slow. Let your heartbeat stay steady, for now. Because you've just woken up in Tenochtitlan, in the shadow of a temple that scrapes the sky. You're lying in a cell. You don't speak the language, you're not sure what's happening, but it involves feathers, an incense, and a crowd gathering outside. Congratulations, you are a human sacrifice. The good news? Your death might keep the sun alive. The bad news? The sun has a very demanding metabolism. You wake up slowly. The air is thick. Not warm, not cold, just still, like something is holding its breath. You're on a mat made of woven reeds. It smells like sweat and flowers. Your wrists are tied. Not tightly, just enough that you remember. You sit up slowly and your head pounds and your mouth is dry. You try to speak, but there's no one in the room who understands you. Or maybe they do, and they've heard it all before. The room isn't really a room. It's part of a temple complex. Stone walls, no windows, just a sliver of sunlight cutting across the floor. Dust floats in it like ash. There's a bowl of water nearby and something in it you don't recognize. You're not sure if it's food. You're not sure if you're supposed to eat. You're not sure if eating even matters. Somewhere nearby, a drum is playing. Low, slow. A rhythm like a heartbeat with too much weight behind it. You stand, if they let you. Your legs ache. Your back is stiff. Your entire body feels like it doesn't belong to you anymore. You try to remember how you got here. A battle? A raid? A surrender that didn't work? You were someone. Somewhere else. With a name and a village and maybe a dog. Now you are this. A future absence, a planned emptiness. You hear footsteps outside, sandals on stone. Two men enter. One wears a headdress shaped like a jaguar's face. The other carries a wooden staff carved with serpents. They look at you the way someone might look at a fruit at market. Not unkindly, just impersonally. You're not a person anymore. You're a purpose. They don't speak, they gesture. It's time to go. They guide you through a courtyard. It's massive. Lined with stone carvings, flanked by warriors with obsidian blades, and crowded with people. So many people. Some cheer, some chant, some just watch, arms crossed, faces unreadable. The smell hits you first. Copal incense, burning sweetly in large clay burners, mixed with sweat, and flowers, and something metallic you try not to name. They drape something over your shoulders, a cloth, paint your face with something red. Smells like crushed berries, but you suspect it's not. A boy offers you a cup of something thick and warm. Pulque, probably, fermented from agave sap. You drink, not because you're thirsty, because you think it might make everything slower. You begin the walk, up the steps, so many steps. The Templo Mayor rises above you like a mountain made by people who didn't believe in halfway points. Your legs burn, your breath shortens, but the men beside you are patient. They've done this before. They guide without pushing. At the top the sun is bright, blinding. You squint. There is an altar. It's stone, worn smooth by repetition. You are not the first. You will not be the last. There is no blood today. The altar has been washed. There are flower petals scattered over it. They lie you down, gently, almost like they're tucking you in for a nap. Your arms are stretched wide, your feet held still. You can hear the crowd below. They are singing or chanting, or calling to the sun. You can't understand the words, but the meaning is clear. They believe in this, not just as a ritual, as a necessity, a truth. The priest stands above you. He holds a knife made of obsidian, black, jagged, sharp in a way metal could never be. It glints once, catching the sun. He does not speak. He does not smile. His eyes are calm. You try to hold on to something. a name, a face, the memory of rain, the feeling of warm earth beneath your feet. Something before this moment, but it slips away. All you have now is the sun, high, hot, hungry, and somewhere, deep down, you understand this isn't personal, this is cosmic. This is the price the world pays to keep turning. Your breath slows, your chest rises, the drum beats faster, the priest raises the knife. You close your eyes, and you feel it. Not pain, not fear, but the strange quiet weight of becoming something other than yourself, a gift, a name no longer spoken, a flame that keeps the sky from going dark. You're lying still now, held down by hands and belief, surrounded not by enemies but by people who think they are saving the world. And in a way they are, because to the Aztecs this isn't murder, this isn't cruelty, this is balance. The world to them is not something you live in, it's something you help carry. And the sun? The sun doesn't rise on its own. They believe in cycles, worlds that come and go like waves, destroyed and rebuilt again and again. We live, according to their stories, in the fifth sun, not the first, not the second, but the fifth. The other worlds before this one were shattered, by jaguars, by floods, by fire, by wind. Each sun fell, and each time the gods started over. But the current sun, the one above you now, is different, because it needs fuel, not wood, not oil, blood. They believe the sun god, Huitzilopochtli, is at war every day. When the sun rises in the east, it is because he has fought his way across the sky. When it sets, he vanishes into the underworld to battle the darkness. And if he ever loses, if the flow of energy stops, the world ends. No crops, no rain, no time, no people. It's not superstition to them. It's not metaphor. It's not abstract. It's physics. The heart is not a symbol, it's a battery. And today, it's your turn to charge the sky. You hear the priest chanting. He is not praying for you. He is speaking to the gods. He's reminding them of their promise. He's calling out the names of divine patrons. Tezcatlipoca, Quetzalcoatl, Tlaloc. But it's Huitzilopochtli who listens now. There is music in the distance. Drums, conch shells, flutes made of bone. It sounds like celebration. It is. Because this is not grief. This is gratitude. To them you are not a victim. You are voluntary. Even if you never said yes. Because the gods chose you. Because your death will ensure another sunrise. Because someone has to keep the darkness from swallowing everything. Below, the crowd watches, not silently. They sing, they cry out. Some weep, not in sorrow but in awe. Children are lifted onto shoulders so they can see. Mothers hold hands over their hearts. Old men press their foreheads to the stone. This is a holy act. This is civilization doing its part. This is cosmic maintenance. In the temple's shadow, your body becomes a conduit. And the priest, a technician of fate. To us it might look like spectacle, like cruelty, like theatre soaked in blood. But to them, it's ecology, a spiritual food chain. The gods give breath, humans give blood, not as punishment, but as offering. The same way you give corn back to the earth after a harvest, the same way you thank the sky after rain. To be chosen is frightening, but it is also, strangely, an honour. You try to imagine what the priest sees. He doesn't see a stranger. He doesn't see an outsider. He sees a vessel, a passage, a doorway through which the world might continue turning. When he raises the knife, it is not with anger. It is with intention. His arms have been trained. His mind has been prepared. He has fasted. He has bathed in sacred water. He has chanted for hours in darkness. He is not killing you. He is sending you. The moment stretches. Time slows. The drumbeat aligns with your own. The sun stands still above, watching, waiting. And you at last understand what you are here for. Not as punishment, not as revenge, but as continuation. You are the hinge between days, the sacrifice that keeps the dawn alive. The breath that rises into smoke, then flame, then light, and then finally, release. You may think of him as a killer, a butcher, a figure dressed in feathers and red paint, more symbol than man. But that's not how he sees himself, and it's not how his people see him either. He is a Tlamakasqui, a priest, a caretaker, not of people but of balance. He is trained, but not in war. Not in conquest, he is trained in time, because the calendar must move. The rituals must align. The offerings must be made when the gods expect them. No sooner, no later. And when your job is to make sure the sun doesn't fall out of the sky, you don't miss deadlines. He didn't choose this life casually. He was taken from his family when he was a child, selected, tested, groomed. The temple watched. The elders decided. The gods, through signs and omens, gave their blessing. And once chosen, there was no turning back. He was taught to chant before he could shave. He memorized entire codices, learned the names of hundreds of gods, the proper ways to summon them, thank them, and when necessary, feed them. He fasted, meditated, ate only corn and beans, bathed in cold rivers, watched older priests lift hearts skyward, hands steady, eyes closed, and one day he was handed the knife. You might wonder what that feels like, to take a human life, but to him, it isn't that simple. You don't kill a person, you complete a cycle. You aren't ending something, you're sustaining it. There is no malice in his actions, no cruelty. He has more reverence for death than you do for life. When he sharpens the obsidian blade, he does it slowly, carefully. He does not rush. He recites the names of the gods as he works. He holds the knife like a relic, because it is. That blade has kissed hundreds of hearts. It has split the chest of enemies and volunteers alike. It is holy and heavy. He bathes before the ceremony, not just his body but his spirit. He paints his face with red ochre and ash, wraps his wrists with cords soaked in blood, ties feathers in his hair, symbolic of the sky. He speaks no words unrelated to the gods. He makes no eye contact until it is time. He eats nothing that day. He drinks only pulque laced with sacred herbs. He burns incense in long, slow coils, watching the smoke drift toward the heavens like a message waiting for translation. He prays, he breathes, he waits, and when they bring you, when they lay you down, he steadies his hands. Not because he wants to, because he must. You see, the priest is not above fear. He knows the stakes. He believes in the gods, yes, but he also fears them. Because he knows what happens when the sun isn't fed. The myths are clear. The darkness comes, the jaguars return. The world drowns in blood or fire or wind, and humanity starts over, again. He carries that knowledge every day. Every sunrise is a contract renewed. Every sunset is a test. The gods are not passive. They watch, they remember, they expect. And if they are denied, they take. So he cuts, quick, clean, practiced. He avoids the ribs. He splits the chest. He reaches in. He pulls out the heart. Still beating, still warm. He lifts it skyward. Speaks your name if he knows it. Speaks the god's name always. Turns to the east where the sun began, then to the west where it will fall. Then he places your heart in the fire, and the smoke rises, the blood steams, and somewhere the sun does not stop. He does this every day, not always with a crowd, not always with fanfare, and sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's routine, sometimes it's just him and another human being, face to face, in the most intimate moment death can offer. He is not numb to it, but he is practiced. He has to be. Because if his hands tremble, if his blade slips, if the ritual is broken, the gods may take offense, and no one wants that. At night he sits alone. He has no family, no distractions. He eats a small meal if permitted. Beans, maize, nothing rich. He burns more incense and he prays. He dreams sometimes of blood, of stars, of the sun flickering like a dying torch. He wakes before dawn, bathes again, and prepares the blade. Because the world still turns, and the sun still demands. You're in the crowd now. Not on the altar, not holding the blade, just a citizen of Tenochtitlan. A farmer maybe, a potter, a weaver. You've woken before dawn, wrapped yourself in a cotton cloak and made your way through the stone alleys that wind like dry riverbeds toward the temple. You're not here for entertainment, you're here for continuity. Because today is an important day on the Aztec calendar. A sacred alignment. One of many. Because time, to you, is not a straight line. It's a wheel. And every revolution of that wheel needs balance. And balance requires blood. You pass under serpent carvings at the base of the temple. You smell copal incense, thick and sweet. You hear the drums, always the drums, low and steady, like the earth's own pulse. You take your place in the plaza. You're not alone. Hundreds have gathered, some quiet, some singing, some swaying in time with the rhythm. Elders, children, traders, warriors, everyone is welcome. Everyone has a role to play in keeping the world intact. You shade your eyes and look up the steep staircase. Far above, near the summit, you see the ritual beginning. The priest steps forward. painted, feathered, lit by the rising sun. The captive is brought forward, silent, bound, face painted with ochre and red. You do not flinch. You do not look away. You have been taught what this means. You were told the story as a child, that in the beginning the gods created the sun, but the sun would not move. It just hung there, heavy, lazy, refusing to rise. So the gods held a council, and one of them, the smallest, the most humble, threw himself into the fire. He burned, he suffered, he was torn apart, and in doing so, he became the sun, the ultimate sacrifice, so that the world could have light. From that moment on, the sun required fuel, not wood, not oil, hearts. It's not cruelty, it's debt. You know this because the signs are everywhere. The crops depend on balance. The rain falls only when Tlaloc is satisfied. The earth remains steady only if Tezcatlipoca is respected. You've seen what happens when the gods are angry. You've seen floods, drought, famine, eclipses that turn the sky into a hole. So today's ritual is not just tradition, it's insurance. And the person being sacrificed, they are not hated, they are not pitied, they are honoured. They are becoming something more than mortal. Their heart will pass between worlds, carried in smoke, lifted to the sky, handed to gods who can turn it into tomorrow. You watch the priest raise the blade. The plaza is silent now. Even the children have stopped moving. There is awe, not fear. Because this is what keeps everything turning. You've offered smaller sacrifices before. Flowers, feathers, food. You've cut your own skin in ritual, let a drop of blood fall into the soil, felt the sting, felt the meaning. But this is larger. This is a life, given for light. So that morning can return again and again. You hear the drumbeat rise. The priest chants the names of the gods. The blade moves, and the heart is lifted, and the crowd exhales. Not a cheer, not mourning, just a shared breath. A sigh of survival, of continuity, because the world has been fed, and the sun will rise again tomorrow. You return home that afternoon. Your family is waiting. You unwrap your cloak, you eat a tamale. You sit by the fire and watch the sky change colour. You sleep, eventually, and somewhere above, the sun god moves across the heavens. Well fed, well pleased, burning with the heat of one more day, paid for in full. Not everyone ends up on the altar by accident. Some are warriors, captured in battle. Some are tributes, handed over by defeated cities. Some are volunteers, though rare, those who believe becoming a sacrifice is the highest possible honour. But most, they are prisoners, from rival tribes, from rebellious provinces, from the edges of empire where the sun doesn't shine as brightly. You were one of them, not born an Aztec, not raised among the canals and temples of Tenochtitlan. You came from somewhere else, with different gods, different languages, different songs. But none of that mattered the day the Eagle Warriors arrived. They came dressed in feathered cloaks, obsidian clubs in hand, painted faces, shouted chants, quick, coordinated, familiar with the terrain. Your village didn't stand a chance. There were screams, then silence, then orders. You were bound, blindfolded, dragged. You travelled by foot, then by canoe, then again by foot, always tied, always watched. They didn't speak much, and when they did, it wasn't to you, but they fed you. That surprised you. Small meals, maize, squash, water, enough to stay alive, enough to stay healthy. Because the gods don't want broken offerings. They want strong hearts, warm bodies, complete forms. You're not livestock, you're sacred cargo. When you reach Tenochtitlan, you don't see it at first. You feel it. A city of stone and water, smells of burning incense and roasting corn, sounds of drums and children and waves lapping against canals. Then you see the temple, rising above the city like a mountain carved by gods. The Templo Mayor, brightly painted, covered in carvings, alive with movement. They bring you into a holding chamber. It's not a dungeon, it's not a cell, it's something else. A space between worlds. You're fed again, bathed, painted. They speak to you gently but without pity. You're told the date of your offering. It aligns with a feast day, with a calendar square marked by gods. You don't know the gods, but they know you. In your final days, they dress you in ritual clothing. Feathers, paint, gold. You don't look like a prisoner anymore. You look like a statue. Children follow you in the streets. Some call you holy. Some whisper your name, if they know it. Elders leave flowers outside your door. Warriors nod in respect. and for a moment you feel something unexpected: purpose. You're part of something enormous, a wheel bigger than any one life, a ceremony that stretches across centuries. You were taken, yes, but now you are becoming. On the night before your sacrifice you are given a final meal. It is not lavish, but it is deliberate. Maize cakes, beans, a little fruit, a sweet drink made from cacao. You eat slowly. No one rushes you. A priest comes to speak and he tells you through a translator that your role is vital, that the gods are listening, that the sun is watching. He doesn't ask how you feel, he already knows. You don't sleep much that night. You sit beside a flame. You watch the shadows dance along the wall. You listen to the distant sound of drums. Software, repetitive, like breathing, like a heart. Outside the city sleeps, but you remain awake. And in the early morning light they come for you, not as jailers, but as guides. They lead you to the steps, the same ones you've seen from a distance. They rise sharply, each one a beat of the drum, and as you climb you don't feel fear exactly. You feel arrival. It's over now. The ceremony is complete. The smoke has risen, the drums have faded, and the sun, full of light and praise, continues its steady march across the sky. And you're gone. But not forgotten. Not in the way we think of forgetting. Because in the Aztec world, death was never the end. It was a transfer, a movement from one form of energy to another, and a sacrificial death, a death given to the gods, was not just honoured, it was necessary. Your body does not lie discarded. It is handled with care, carried down the steps of the temple in silence. Your blood spilled upon the altar has marked the stone. This is not a stain, this is ink, written into the calendar of time. The priests will tend to your remains. Parts of your body may be buried in sacred ground. Others, bones especially, may be preserved, not as trophies, as symbols. A femur carved into a flute, a skull placed among the sompantli, the skull rack, lined in neat rows not to terrify but to demonstrate devotion. Not your name, but your presence. Still here, still part of the rhythm. In some rituals the flesh of the sacrificed is shared, eaten in ceremonial meals, a sacred communion with the gods. To us it may sound unthinkable, but to them it was sacred, symbolic, a physical affirmation of unity between mortals and the divine. To consume the flesh of one who died for the gods was to take part in the act of creation itself. Your image may be preserved in codices, in murals, in the minds of the children who watched you ascend the steps. You will become a story, not of who you were, but of what you did. The man who helped the sun rise, the woman whose heart kept the rain coming, the soul that passed between worlds and kept the darkness at bay. And for the people of Tenochtitlan, the ceremony is a success. The priests declare it. The omens are good. The smoke rose straight. The birds flew true. The sun did not dim. Merchants return to their stalls. Farmers head to the fields. Children resume games. Life continues, not despite your death, but because of it. In the weeks that follow, the empire moves forward. Tributes arrive. Feasts are held. The gods are honoured in other ways, but your sacrifice becomes part of the great tapestry, an invisible thread in the cloak of the cosmos. One heartbeat among thousands. That together keep time moving. And years from now, someone will look up at the sun warm on their skin and say, "Remember, someone gave their heart for this." And though they may not know your face, or your name, or where you came from, they will know you were part of the bargain, and the gods remembered. Now imagine a different perspective. You are not the one lying on the stone. You're not the one bound or painted or chanting with the crowd. You are the one who caught them. A warrior. Not just any warrior, an eagle warrior perhaps, or a jaguar warrior. One of the elites. One of the honoured few who wear feathers and fur and walk proudly through the city's plazas, heads held high, obsidian blades at your side. Your job isn't to kill, it's to capture. In the Aztec world, war wasn't just about land, it was about life, and how to keep it going. Battle wasn't about slaughter, it was about harvest. Because without captives there are no sacrifices, and without sacrifices the sun does not rise. You learned that as a boy, from your father, from the priests, from the stories etched in codices passed down for generations. You trained in the Telpoch Kali, the school for common warriors. You learned to march in silence, to fight with honour, to take enemies alive. A dead enemy earns you less, but a living one, strong, young, healthy, can be offered. And that is the highest gift. You paint your face before every battle. Black, red, yellow. Each colour has meaning. Each line drawn across your skin tells a story: who you are, what gods you serve, how many victories you've earned. You wear feathers not just for beauty but for status. The more captives you bring back, the more elaborate your attire. A jaguar pelt means you've taken at least 4 strong men alive. A turquoise earring means you've fought in foreign campaigns. The city knows your name. Children point when you walk by. Merchants offer you better prices. You are paid in maize, in cloth, in honour. But war is not easy. You carry a macuahuitl, a wooden sword lined with obsidian shards. It doesn't cut, it shreds. It's designed to disable, not to kill. You don't rush your blows. You aim for the shoulder, the knee, the side. Enough to drop a man, not end him. Because you want them alive. Whole, useful. You fight hard, but you fight with purpose. You are harvesting, you are gathering fuel for the divine. When you return to the city with a captive, there is celebration. You parade through the streets, not gloating, just showing. The priests mark your tally, the nobles take note. If you bring enough captives, you may be invited to dine at court, to wear colours normally reserved for the high class, to speak directly with the emperor. One day you might even rise high enough to become a noble yourself, not through blood, but through bravery. Because in this world, merit matters, and merit is counted in hearts delivered. But even with all this pride, you know what you've done. You know the faces of the men you tied at the wrists. You saw the fear, the defiance, and the silence. You've led them to the priests, watched the knife rise and heard the crowd cheer. And then you went home, removed your armour, sat by a fire, ate beans and maize, and slept. Not without thought, but without regret. Because you believe, because someone has to feed the sun, and someone has to gather what it needs. Tomorrow you may be called to fight again. Another campaign, another village, another flame that must be kept alive. And when you put on your helmet and paint your face again, you will not hesitate. Because you are not a killer. You are a provider. The Empire depends on you. Step back now from the battlefield, away from the priests, away from the altar. Imagine you are not a warrior, not a captive, not a farmer watching from the crowd. You are nobility, Aztec elite, born into a world of jade, obsidian, and responsibility. You live in the heart of Tenochtitlan, the shining city in the lake. Your home has carved stone walls, painted murals, a garden of chili plants and flowers, courtyards with pools reflecting the sky. Your sandals are leather, your cloak is woven cotton, dyed with cochineal and trimmed with turquoise beads. When you walk, people make space, not because you demand it, because it's expected. You eat from ceramic bowls painted with gods. Your servants bring tamales steamed in banana leaves, cacao frothed with chili and honey, avocado, maize, rabbit, fish, all seasoned and cooked in ways passed down through generations. You don't grow this food, you don't hunt it, you administrate. You sit in meetings with priests, landowners, commanders. You listen to reports. You settle disputes. You organize tribute shipments from surrounding regions. You're not idle. You're responsible for maintaining the flow of food, of goods, of people, and most of all, ritual. Because in this world, politics and religion are the same. Power is divine, and the gods are everywhere. The Empire's calendar is not just for planning. It is a map of obligation. Every day belongs to a god. Every god has expectations. Miss a ritual and the price might be disease. Forget an offering and the rains may vanish. You know this. Everyone knows this. So when it's time for a festival, you prepare. You oversee the decorations, papel amate fluttering in the breeze. You fund the dancers dressed as jaguars and serpents, moving in spirals around the fire. You invite the priests to feast in your courtyard the night before the sacrifice. Because your prestige depends not just on wealth, but on piety. You must be seen giving, participating, honouring. Sacrifice isn't abstract to you. You've watched it all your life, and it is not barbarism, it is order. It is the nobles who fund the ceremonies, the priests who carry them out, the warriors who bring the offerings, the commoners who attend, and all of them believe in different ways. To be rich is not to be exempt. Your own sons are trained for battle. Your nephews march with the eagle clans. You do not keep them safe behind walls, because a noble who gives nothing is a threat to balance. In times of famine, it is the nobles who provide food. In times of drought, it is the nobles who offer their own blood. A cut on the tongue, a thorn through the ear, A few drops for Tlaylock. It is not performative, it is necessary. Because without balance, everything collapses. And though your life may seem comfortable, there is no such thing as certainty. The gods are watching. So are the people. So is the Emperor. You walk with honour. You speak with purpose, and always you give. Because even jade crumbles, if it forgets where it came from. You sit in your courtyard at dusk. A flute plays in the distance. Children's laughter echoes across the canals. The sun dips behind the mountains, casting a golden glow over the white stones of the temple. You sip cacao. You trace the edge of your jade ring with your thumb, and you listen as a drum begins to beat in the distance. Another ceremony, another offering, and you nod, because the wheel turns, and the gods are waiting, and now the smoke has cleared. The drums are silent. The feathers have been gathered. The blood has dried on stone steps that still remember every heartbeat offered to the sky. You've walked the path from captive to offering. You've felt the hands hold you still. You've watched the knife rise. You've heard the crowd breathe as one. And maybe, just maybe, you understand it a little better now. This wasn't horror, not to them. This was necessity. A system. A belief held together by time, ritual, and an unshakable faith in cosmic debt. To the Aztecs, the world was a fragile thing. The sun did not rise because it had to. It rose because someone paid the price. And in their eyes, the worst thing was not death. The worst thing was a sky that stayed dark. You've seen what the priest sees. A burden that must be carried. You've stood among the crowd, believing this act gives the world another day. You've worn the feathers, you've climbed the steps. You've offered more than just blood. You've offered order in a universe they believed could unravel at any moment. And now, in the quiet that follows, you return. Not to Tenochtitlan, not to the temple, but to wherever you are now. To your bed, to the hum of a fan, to the soft flicker of a screen in the dark. The world is different. You know the sun will rise whether you bleed or not. You know time moves on without calendars carved in stone. But still, somewhere deep down, there's a part of you that understands. The need to make sense of suffering, to give meaning to loss. To believe that pain is never wasted, even if it's not your god, even if it's not your language, even if it's not your knife. You can still lie back, close your eyes, and listen to the ancient rhythm of breath and drum, of fire and smoke, of gods and men, and you can rest, knowing that, at least for tonight, the sun will rise, because someone made sure of it. Sleep well.